Has something fundamentally changed in the market's view of the dollar as a reserve currency? I was at an event last week and lots of people just said, well, Tina, there isn't an alternative. But does that matter?
It does matter, but it doesn't mean to say that we will carry on this gradual trend away from the dollar. I mean, if you think about, why is the dollar a reserve currency? When over the last, 40, 50 years, the share of world trade from the US has shrunk, really, because obviously China's grown, emerging markets are growing. But the dollar is still, nearly 60% of reserves. And perhaps the correlation, there's a loose correlation between the amount of invoices done in or written in US dollars. So around about 50% of the world's invoices are written in US dollars. So fundamentally, central banks need dollar reserves. And I think that will change. And I think we can actually draw this back to the first Trump presidency, when there was this need. Even the Europeans weren't happy when, for instance, Trump pulled the US out of the Iranian nuclear accord and basically told European companies they had to pull out too, otherwise they may not have access to dollar funding. The Europeans were not happy about that then. So I think there have been changes made since the first administration to make perhaps other currencies a little bit more resilient, and I think that trend will continue. So I think the de-dollarization is a issue. It is a concern. It will continue, but we can't replace the dollar quickly. There isn't a clear alternative.
So you're describing a currency that has that status because of the role it plays in global trade. So if lots of other currencies are doing their bit in global trade, and increasingly so perhaps, and the role of the dollar is dropping a little, do we need one reserve currency, or can we have many?
Now that question is, I think, very difficult to answer now, but perhaps part of the answer is in the perception that we are moving on to maybe more trading blocks. So, for instance, if we look at what the IMF has been saying in the first Trump administration, because of the trade frictions that he then injected, what we saw was not a decline in overall trade, world trade, but we saw it change. So we saw more trading done within blocks. If we carry on moving into that system, yes, maybe you will see different currencies being more important in those separate different blocks. But it's very difficult to answer that question right now.
Let's go around the world. Do you like the pound?
Not as much as the euro.
OK.